This week on The Aviators, we're heading down south for the first part of our 2-episode special covering the Governor General's Cup International Air Rally.
Hi, man, it's the pilots of the Caribbean.
From Grand Turk to Martinique, join us as we fly alongside over 30 aircraft on this 13-day trek through the Caribbean islands. Having spent virtually all of our past 6 seasons at the Aviators journeying across continental North America, when the prospect of taking part in a Caribbean air rally arose, we simply couldn't turn it down. Since 2003, the International Air Rally has been a world leader in group flying events. The entire operation is led by Catherine Tobinas, the organizer of the air rally, and Camille Dumont, who started the event when he was the first vice president of the Quebec Bush Pilot Association. He now supervises the flying logistics. Since its inception, the International Air Rally has put together one of the largest rallies of its kind in the region. To date, over 500 pilots and aviation enthusiasts have traveled across Canada, the United States, the Caribbean, and Latin America over what's usually 2 weeks of pure adventure. This particular rally is a fundraising event that supports the educational programs of Aviation Connection, a charitable organization that offers an aerospace training program to high school students designed to introduce them to the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This year, 80 flying enthusiasts occupying 35 separate aircraft are taking part in the Governor General's Cup Caribbean Air Rally, an event spanning 13 days that will take the planes and their crews to 6 different Caribbean islands. And we just happened to tag along. We know, sounds awful. First stop, the Sano Jet Center in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. With a fleet this size, thorough briefings will be absolutely essential throughout the entire trip. If there is any sort of communication breakdown or a pilot doesn't know what's going on, it's not only a safety concern, but can delay everyone significantly. It's no small undertaking, and much of the responsibility falls on Stefan Weaver and David Schrader, both senior flight coordinators and accomplished pilots. The aircraft are divided into 3 squadrons according to type and speed, and each squadron is supervised by team leaders. These are highly trained professional pilots with decades of experience. With everyone fueled up and good to go, it's time to hit the sky and make our way to Grand Turk, the largest island in Turks and Caicos and home to Jags McCartney International Airport. This is the 4th time the rally has launched from the shores of Grand Turk, and as is now customary, a number of students from various primary institutions on the island get to enjoy a tour of all the aircraft. It's a meaningful experience that the pilots enjoy as much as the kids do. It's also here that we met a very special young man. He's too young to be a pilot, but he already has as much love for flying as just about anyone we've come across.
My name is Compton Clark.
How'd you get connected with the air rally?
I got connected with the air rally back in 2000. First came on with them to view the aircraft as one of the older students here on Grand Turk. Then after that, I got in contact with Catherine, that I was constantly back and forth with her on Facebook. When she'll be back in Grand Turk again. Then after a few years of trying to get in contact with Catherine, she told me that she would be in Grand Turk in 2016 because she added it to the air rally list, which made me very excited. And from there on, that's how I was with the air rally.
Compton is also able to take to the skies himself, courtesy of one of the air rally pilots who happens to be a certified instructor.
I fly a Pepperstone Sinus, and I ran. It was great. The flight, we did a few maneuvers. We did a few maneuvers around the soil banks there, and then we did a wing over. We did a few stall off, power off. I did it for a few minutes. It was very awesome. I really enjoyed it. It gave me a false impression how my first flight lesson is going to be, which I really like.
As is the case with many pilots, a deep love for aviation can be discovered at a pretty young age. Compton is no different.
Oh yes, I wanted to be a pilot my whole life, since before I knew myself. When I was 5 years old, I went to the airport in Grand Turk with my mother, and she was dropping my father off to go on for a business trip. He was going aboard a B-200. At the time, it was Air Turks and Caicos. And actually, I didn't really know what aircrafts did back then. I just kind of watched. And I thought it was faster means of transportation like cars, you know, get you there in like an hour less or something like that. Just saw the aircraft start up and take flight. That kind of changed my life. And I told myself since then that I don't want to do anything else. That's where I want to be, and that's where I'm going to stay till I die.
We wouldn't be at all surprised to see Compton on a future episode of The Aviators. But for now, it's time to check in on the Governor General Peter Beckingham's Waterloo residence. It's here that the International Air Rally officially kicks off. We also got a chance to catch up with Brian Pound, Air Rally Ambassador and 2014 winner of the Governor General's Cup. Brian is a passionate pilot with thousands of hours of flying under his belt.
We're at the Governor General's residence, the Waterloo residence in Kirk and Caicos, where he's just officially opened the International Air Rally and made a presentation of the Governor General of Canada's Air Trophy to be presented to the winner of this rally at the end of the rally when we go to Tortola. In the meantime, we're going to fly into St. Croix, Antigua, Martinique, and have ourselves 2 weeks in the Caribbean.
It's a special night. Some of these pilots have flown together in previous years, while many are meeting for the first time. In both cases, however, the camaraderie is instant and will surely only grow stronger as we make our way through the Caribbean. With barely enough time to cool our heels, let alone the engines, everyone is packed and ready to take off once again. This constant change of location, taking in as much of the Caribbean as we can, is what the Air Rally is all about, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Our next stop is around a 500 nautical mile trip east to the beautiful island of St. Croix, a constituent district of the United States Virgin Islands. With its 84 square miles, it's the largest island in the territory and home to the Henry E. Rolson International Airport, which serves the island with regular flights from the U.S. mainland, Puerto Rico, and the Eastern Caribbean. Everyone is ready to enjoy 3 beautiful days here, setting up camp at the hotel on the Cay, a small island overlooking Christian Head Harbor, and only a 2-minute ferry ride to the surrounding boardwalk. This year also marks a significant milestone. It's the first time that the Air Rally has been able to visit this pristine location. Much of this accomplishment can be attributed to Fiona Horn, a licensed pilot and the St. Croix liaison for the Air Rally.
My name's Fiona Horn and I'm the St. Croix Liaison Officer for the 7th Annual Governor's Cup Caribbean Air Rally. What are we doing here today? My goodness. Well, today is called West is Best. Day that I planned for the guests of the Air Rally, or for the participants of the Air Rally, to come out and enjoy the west end of beautiful St. Croix. It's an end that, of the island that the locals call Best, West is Best. Visited by as many tourists as, say, Christiansted. It's a part of the island that's very special, so it's really wonderful to have everyone out here.
Until recently an industrial powerhouse, St. Croix hasn't quite yet had the time to find its footing as a sought-after tourist destination. But as Fiona notes, hopefully that's about to change.
Well, the plans for the rally have been pretty exciting. We had a huge welcome by Lieutenant Governor Potter and the Deputy Commissioner of Tourism, and was just thrilled that the island came out and welcomed the Air Rally as it landed. I mean, look, we even ended up on the front page of the paper, this paper in windy weather, But yeah, the whole island, the community is super excited that the air rally is visiting. It's the biggest general aviation air rally that we've seen in the US Virgin Islands ever, and come to St. Croix. So the unique thing about St. Croix is that we're not on the tourist map. Hopefully we will be now. But we had an oil refinery on this island for a long time, so it was kind of known as the industrial island. As far as tourism goes, that oil refinery only shut a couple of years ago, so now it's kind of opening up. And what's super exciting for the aviation community is that St. Croix is unique. It has a 10,000-foot runway, so certainly smaller aircraft manage with a smaller runway, but the bigger aircraft can really appreciate this beautiful 10,000-foot unobstructed long runway in uncrowded Delta airspace. You land and you're basically here in 5 minutes. The best-kept secret of the Caribbean, and we're really hoping that with the 7th annual Governor's Cup Caribbean Air Rally coming here this year, that it's going to open up to aviators.
It's clear that Fiona has gone to great lengths to help the air rally get to St. Croix. And of course, we couldn't help but ask why.
Me personally, when I started flying, doing my first 100 hours aerobatic, it was kind of the thrill of it. I never really thought serious pilot. I was very lucky to be flying dual instruction in an aerobatic aircraft, like for my first 100 hours. When I decided to get my private and get more serious about it, I became very interested in humanitarian aid and being able to be that person that could fly medical aid, food into remote regions or into regions that had gone through a crisis.
This led to a profound interest in bush piloting and eventually took her to Bush Air, a flight school in South Africa. It was here that she completed several courses on bush piloting.
Brilliant course if you want to get out there, fly a banged-up Cessna 172 with huge Tundra tires and flying some of the most inhospitable, whether it's box canyon flying or landing on a curved dirt-like trail with an elephant off one wingtip and a thorny acacia bush off your right that could rip through the fuselage. It's extreme flying, but when you're taught by CC how to handle those conditions and how to be in the moment and strap that plane on like a backpack and stay ahead of it and fly at the edge of the envelope, it's just for confidence.
Having the chance to meet a pilot like Fiona is always special. Not only is aviation her career and her obvious passion, but it has differently influenced how she views both her life and the world around her. It's a feeling she hopes to pass on, especially to those who might be considering getting their pilot's license later in life.
But at this point in my life, I turned 50 this year. I don't talk about age much because age is just a number. It inspires people, women especially, to know that your life doesn't have to have a use-by date. I started flying when I turned 45. It's like, man, it's a beautiful thing to be pilot in command. It feels good.
This is the most exciting time, I think, in the in fact, I wish I was 30 years younger. I would like to be entering the industry today. In addition to providing typical academic programs, we also provide a lot of professional training. We teach a number of industry courses. The College of Business, for example, is teaching laser training. They are also providing aircraft lease and asset management to international leaseors. So we're doing a lot of those kinds of things that they're not necessarily academic, but they're supporting the aviation industry.
Back with the group, rally participants are treated to an exciting array of island activities, and we would be remiss not to point out a tiny bar tucked into the rainforest on the west side of the island. Here at the Mount Pellier Dominal Club, JJ and Oreo are the main attractions, and for good reason. It's a bit of a hike and a true jungle bar, but if you're ever in the area, stop by and buy them around. Non-alcoholic, of course. With live performances by the island's local fire dancers and the iconic Mako Jumbies, the visual stimulus on St. Croix is almost overwhelming, making it easy to get swept away by the energy and excitement the island has to offer.
Howdy, man, it's the pilot pilots of the Caribbean.
But after all, this is an air rally, and a small group of dedicated pilots have been looking forward to this stop for another reason entirely. Formation flying, something most pilots on the rally have never even attempted before. Although they won't be flying in as tight a group as you would see at a typical air show, the precision and discipline required means a seasoned flight leader is absolutely essential. For this, we look no further than Richard Schmidt, a pilot since 1971 with over 5,600 hours total flight time.
I started flying formation with the Bonanza Stagecoach group back in 2005. Learned formation flying from some really great instructors there at BWASH, and it gives me an opportunity to help run clinics with them now. I'm airshow qualified with FFI lead card, and it's lots of fun flying formation.
For those who have never flown formation before, introductory ground school is an absolute must. And safety pilot rides are done beforehand to make sure all pilots are completely comfortable. Formation flying can be an intimidating experience for those who aren't used to it, but we're fortunate enough to see firsthand just how capable each pilot really is. Getting the chance to witness two or more planes perfectly in sync with one another is impressive enough when you're watching from the ground, but in the sky, it's nothing short of amazing.
The folks are actually very competent, capable, and motivated pilots. They're really excited about doing it. Rapt attention during the ground school, lots of good questions. The walkthroughs went well. The safety pilot ride practice went really well. Folks got the idea and understood the perspectives really well. They had a great time. You could tell with the big smiles when they came back from those flights how pumped up and energized they were to learn a new flying school.
Thanks, St. Croix. It's been fun. But now it's time to make our way 288 nautical miles southeast to Martinique, one of the 18 regions of France and an integral part of the French Republic. Filled with ruins and monuments, gorgeous beaches, and great food, it also possesses an abundance of flora and fauna, giving Martinique its appropriate nickname, the Island of Flowers. However, not everyone is able to relax quite yet. With a group this large, minor aircraft issues can be expected. And now it looks like one pilot ran into a bit of a problem on the flight over from St. Croix.
When I landed, one of the blades on the prop, it ended up feathering and made for a rather rough taxi. And it ended up that there's linkages here that actually connect the prop to the hub. And this pin actually slides up through that linkage to keep the blades all connected. And the screw that holds us in there evidently is stripped out. So we're gonna have to get a mechanic to see if he can fix the hole and either get a little bit bigger screw or a little bit longer screw and see if we can get this thing to stay back in there. This is basically what it was doing after I moved it once I got it. But there's pins back here in the back that actually stop it from feathering when you shut the engine down. So once it gets to low RPM, those pins slide into place to keep it from feathering so that you're not trying to start prop feathering.
Having mechanical difficulties in a foreign country is never an optimal situation. Glenn might not be able to get the tools he needs here to fix his aircraft. And it certainly doesn't help that the predominant language spoken in the region is French.
Well, I mean, the only thing I could do is try to get a little closer to the airport so that I can get over here a little bit easier, because it is quite a drive from where the hotel is back over here. And then I would just have to find somebody that spoke enough English to help. So we did meet somebody at the restaurant last night that knew the mechanic that's supposed to be coming out today. I don't think he's here yet, but he'd be able to translate for us enough to get me going. I mean, worst thing, I'd probably get on the airplane and fly home and get whatever parts and tools I need, and then fly back with one of my A&P buddies and work on it ourselves.
Fortunately, one benefit of traveling with 35 other planes is that you never know who you're going to meet. And if you're lucky enough, it might just be a French-Canadian named Eric.
So after I landed, we started talking with some of the other pilots and found out that the pilot of the Twin Commander had the propeller issue. Since this island is French and I'm bilingual, I was able to help him out, talking to the local mechanic to try to get that resolved. He would have figured it out. It's amazing what you can do with duct tape.
For someone who doesn't know their plane as well as Glenn clearly does, this may have become a much more serious problem.
You know, having this problem, if I wasn't with the people that I'm with, you know, it could potentially become a big headache. So having French-speaking people with me is an extreme gift.
Hopefully Glenn gets the tools he needs to make it out of here in one piece. But for now, it's time to enjoy the culture and hospitality Martinique has to offer. The group is treated to a wonderful evening of dinner and traditional dancing, courtesy of the Martinique Tourism Committee. The next day gives everyone a chance to enjoy all of the European-inspired flair Martinique has to offer. While the food and culture are predominantly what the island is known for, few are aware of the number of exceptional beaches that line the shore, from wide white sand beaches to secluded coves and hideaways. Thankfully, we've been given the inside scoop and plan to take full advantage. It's a beautiful place that no one is ready to say goodbye to. But with the weather about to take a turn for the worse, it doesn't look like any of us are going anywhere. Next time on The Aviators, we're back in the Caribbean for the second half of our adventures at the International Air Rally. With flights to the islands of Antigua, Tortola, and Haiti still on the agenda, not to mention the presentation of the Governor General's Cup, the Air Rally's conclusion promises to be something very special. But with the prospect of an oncoming storm on the horizon, the second half of the Air Rally could very well be left in jeopardy. All 7 seasons of The Aviators, plus Airboss and Jet Truck, are now available in DVD, Blu-ray, and online viewing bundles. For more information on today's segments, visit www.theaviators.tv. From Oshkosh, Wisconsin's Whitman Regional Airport, we'll see you next time on The Aviators.